What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So, Baruuk Prime came out earlier today, and I actually had some emergency stuff I had to do, so I was not able to stream Baruuk Prime's initial launch. But I am back home now, so I'm going to be going over some of the things that happened in this patch and hotfix. One of them being the new Riven changes. So, every Prime Access they release, they do some Riven stat bumps, nerfs, buffs. A lot of not changing anything at all, so we'll be going over that today. They did put out an official forum post, so we'll be going over that, maybe looking at some current stats of Rivens for some of these weapons. Before we get into it, though, thank you for everyone that's subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all the support. Channel's growing every day, and it really means a lot, guys. Also, we will be live tomorrow for the bi-weekly No Sleep Till Borrow stream, which is a new staple of the channel. So basically, we'll be starting the stream around 7 or 8 p.m. ET. And we're going to be live until Borrow comes out, about 12 or 13 hours later. So if you want to watch a long Warframe stream, come stop by. I will be here the whole time. And that will be on Friday the 15th. Or rather, Thursday the 15th. Going into Friday the 16th. It's kind of hard. The times blend together when you stream that much. Alright, but enough of that. Let's get into these Riven stat changes. And I haven't actually even looked at these. So this should be kind of interesting to see what happened. Okay, so they do sort them by weapon type and all that. And there's actually a little bit of extra context at the top up here. And the reason they do this stuff is because when a new Prime weapon comes out, it has usually they have higher base stats than the actual normal version that they're a Prime version of. And the Rivens would be the same too, unless they nerfed them down, which is kind of like what they do here. They make the Prime Rivens really weak at launch, and then maybe eventually buff them if they feel like they should. So, with many recent changes to weapons, explosive, semi-auto, etc., and perhaps more coming in the future, we are choosing to be more conservative than usual with our changes to avoid whiplash if things look different next time. That was not a comforting sentence at all. Wow. We're not gonna nerf them as much as usual, just so you don't get whiplash from the nerf we're about to hit you with in 2 months with that self-damage getting added back. That's what it sounds like. As an added bonus, we are improving some companion weapon Rivens. The Hound weapons. Oh my gosh, yeah, they finally realized these Rivens exist. Oh my gosh, these Hound Rivens have been a thing since last year, and they've been 0.5 dispo the whole time and never got buffed. All the Hound Rivens are being increased from 0.5 to 1 since we don't currently adjust these Rivens. We're just bringing them up to the average, thanks to everyone who reported this inconsistency. Yo, this is lazy. This is really bad. This is some really lazy changes here. Thanks for reminding us these exist. We don't even know our own game. What the heck is this, man? You didn't realize this for an entire year, and you're just buffing them to 1? Oh, they should be 1.5. These should be the highest stat Rivens possible. These weapons for these Hounds are terrible, dude. Riven's not going to save them. You know why? Because I've actually had Rivens for these Hound weapons, and they do nothing. A bunch of the stats on the Rivens don't even work on the Hound weapon. Do I even have a Hound anymore? Oh my gosh, I can't believe that they just finally remembered this. Here, the Akaten. Look at how terrible these stats are. 152 damage. I put 6 Forma on this thing and had a Riven, and it still sucked. Doubling the stats of the Riven's not going to do anything, dude. These Hounds can't use any of the good mods. You can't put Blood Rush, can't put Weeping Wounds on them, anything like that. They finally remember these exist. Okay, well, sorry, I had to go on a little of a tangent there. This is pitiful, DE. This is pitiful right here. You didn't know that the Hound Rivens existed, dude? Yeah, we don't adjust those currently. Why don't you? Because the bot that you have programmed to do this forgets they exist? This is such baloney, bro. Okay, well, not like I really care about companion Rivens, but it's hilarious. They're actually admitting to the laziness and incompetence right here. That's pathetic. Alright, well, the previous one can be found in that link. Let's start with these actual changes, and we'll see if anything actually interesting happened. Alright, so you're going to see a lot of changes that are going to be a very, very small stat bump. So like the AO lock right here at the top. Goes from 1.05 to 1.1. That's the behind-the-scenes multiplier on these stats of these mods. So if you look at my AO lock Riven, it's not going to be too different from before. Now, I don't have a before and after picture with me. But let's just see. So I was at 103% crit chance before. Now I'm at 108. So I got 5% crit chance on the build. It might have been less than that. It might have been 105 to 108. But yeah, either way, we're at 100% crit chance, 99% status chance. Pretty decent hybrid stats, I guess. But yeah, that's just pretty much a generic full auto rifle with an alt fire shot. You know, that's how it is. The Phantasma, which is Steinex's signature spear gun, pretty terrible weapon. It got its rivens buff from 0.5 to 0.8. Those are like basically the biggest buffs you'll see. Besides when they forget a weapon type exists, like this garbage right here. The biggest you're going to see is from 0.5 to 0.8, or like from 0.8 to 1.1. Nothing as big as a 0.5, or a 0.5. We're seeing a 0.05 change, and a 0.5 change. Alternox, which is Gyre's signature weapon that everyone forgets about. It's bad. The rivens are also not getting a huge buff. They're going to neutral. Nagantaka Prime can do some decent hemorrhage procs with Slash, getting a small buff there. Proboscis Cernos, a weapon that definitely doesn't feel as good anymore, in my opinion, with the ammo changes, but still serviceable. Getting a small buff, very, very small buff. And a Tenant Flux Rifle also getting a very, very small buff. So all these changes, nothing really to write home about. Maybe the Phantasma will feel okay with a Riven, but the Phantasma doesn't feel okay at all whenever I've used it. So yeah, I dislike the Phantasma a lot, and that's not going to make me start using it. It's just an awkward feeling weapon. Moving on to the shotguns. Okay, so there's only one shotgun change. It's the newest shotgun, or one of the newest shotguns, the Phantasma Prime. And this is actually a big problem with Prime accesses in this game. Is like I said earlier, when the new Prime version comes out, well, the rivens for the old one are still going to work, but they're going to be reduced stats. And that's why people, a lot of the time, will say, well, the Phantasma Prime is worse than the Phantasma Normal because the rivens are taken into account. And you could even, I mean, the Phantasma Prime and the Phantasma Normal stats are so similar, I could think you can see my naming situation right here. So let's look at the stats of the Phantasma Prime and the Phantasma Normal rivens. Actually, we can just do this easier. The stats aren't very different on the weapons themselves. So we're going to go to the actual modding screen here, and I'm going to bring up a Phantasma Riven. You can actually compare them in real time. So here's my Phantasma Riven I usually use. So on the Phantasma Normal, we've got 128% multi-shot. On the Phantasma Prime, it's 79% multi-shot. So we're chopping off like a good 40-ish% multi-shot on here. Actually, more like 50% multi-shot. We're chopping off a good 30% status chance. Magazine size doesn't really matter. So you're losing about 50% multi-shot in a Riven like this, still. And what you get in return is you get 8% more crit chance and a bigger crit multiplier. And everything else is exactly the same. So, yeah, honestly, not enough. Not enough. Still use the Phantasma Normal unless you are using an Avenger Ravage build or something. That's unfortunate. Let's see the other Phantasma. I mean, that's a Phantasma tri-stat, so we have Phantasma dual stat. So on a dual stat, we have 147 multi-shot, 112 toxin. On a Prime, we have 91 multi-shot, 69 toxin. So we're losing about 50% toxin, and we're losing about 50% multi-shot, again, even on a dual stat. So that's unfortunate. Not like the Phantasma really needed a Riven, but I mean, these are the end game types of loot we have in our game. So when I see it being disrespected and treated terribly and lazily by this comment on this post right here, it makes me annoyed. It makes me really annoyed. It's like, do they even care? Are they just trying to string us along until Soulframe? That's what it's starting to feel like. Secondaries here, we got the Pocket Brahma. Okay, the Pocket Brahma got a decent buff here, going from 0.5 to 0.6, the accurate. I don't know if that will be really noticeable. We can pull up my accurate Riven just to see. But yeah, it was already basically just go multi-shot and crit damage or bust. And let's see what we have now. Now this is a no negative Riven right here. We've got 67% multi, 58%, or we got 58% multi, 67% crit chance, and 44% crit damage. I don't remember what it was at before, but this thing has more issues than just Riven stats. It can't even fit on the whole build, even with all these forma on here. So, yeah, I guess the Pocket Brahma got buffed. Awesome. I don't know why they buffed it, but sure, because it's a new weapon, I suppose. This thing deserves the 0.5 dispo. Honestly, it's basically it literally is a Pocket Brahma, dude. There's just no 100 munitions. Actigara Prime getting tiny little buffs that don't even matter. Hystrix Prime getting an actual serviceable buff from 0.7 to 0.85. The problem with the Hystrix Prime is it's a single target weapon. And also that new Conjunction Voltage Arcane that's gives you reload speed and multi-shot. You'd think it'd be good in Hystrix Prime because it has Force Electric procs. Now that Conjunction Arcane just is really bad, actually. It's just not good on anything. So yeah, Hystrix Prime, buff it. So that's not a big enough buff, honestly. Any single target weapon should be getting bigger buffs than this. Speaking of single target weapons, the Magnus Prime is next on the list. And it went from 1.15 to 1.2. I'm surprised it's gotten that high of dispo already. It's only been out for about a year. But yeah, there you go. Tenant Detron getting from 0.8 to 0.85. Diplos, and also the Spear X all getting 0.05 Riven buffs. Nothing too crazy there, just slightly higher stats. I've got Riven for the Detron and the Spear X that I don't even feel like looking at, because until the situation of single target, multi-target, and all that is actually more important, I'm not going to use single target weapons at all, unless it's like for Demoist or whatever. And the Tombreaker secondary got a stat buff to 0.7. All right, melees. Oh wow, an actual nerf. They actually nerfed something. They nerfed the Bala Riven Dispo from 0.9 to 0.85. A change so small it's not going to even matter. It's just more of like a insult slap in the face nerf to people that like to use the Bala. Because, I mean, realistically, unless you're like hitting some specific breakpoint for crit chance or status chance or something, no. Like that 0.05 nerf is going to make as big of a difference as a 0.05 buff. It'll be hardly noticeable at all. So, whatever. It's surprising that they even nerf anything. If none of these, if a lot of these are not nerfs, why even bother with nerfing one thing? You could have nerfed other things, honestly. Dual Commas Prime getting little tiny buffs. Ghoulsaw as well, Hespar. Everything that's going to be like a tiny little buff, I'm hardly going to like talk about it, honestly. Ghoulsaw, Hespar, Inodem, Karist, what's the Neferi again? Oh, the Neferi, I think, is those heat daggers from the Narmer bounties. That got a tiny little buff. So a lot of these are just tiny little buffs, honestly. The Quorum got a actual buff of 0.95 to 1.05, but who is using that thing? Okay, Slaytra got a decent-sized buff. I don't know. I'm not really using the Slaytra anymore. It just feels pretty slow. So maybe an attack speed Riven would be helpful there. Top 2 Prime got a decent buff, but the top 2 Prime is bad because the stance is bad. The Grigori got a small buff. Okay, so lots and lots of small buffs here. 0.75 to 0.8 on the Varacrush. You're too kind. And then for the Arc Guns, the Corvus got a fake little buff. So these are some pretty underwhelming Riven changes. I'd say the most exciting part of all this is them admitting that they forgot Hound Rivens exist. And that they wouldn't have even noticed it unless someone else brought it up. Someone else did their job for them. It's literally like they have a robot that does this stuff, and this guy's just posting what happened. They are not currently, we don't currently adjust these Rivens. Why are you admitting you don't currently adjust the Rivens right here? I mean, you are aware that companion Rivens are a thing, right? Like, why do you not change them? I probably have like at least 2 companion Rivens over here. Like why? Just why? Like the Verglas has crazy high stats, I think. Yeah, that's a companion Riven. Death Machine Rifle. Did I delete that? I might delete the Death Machine Rifle. But still, like, why are you not changing these? You admitted that you don't change them, but you don't have any solution. It's just like, yeah, just keep the machine rolling. Rush out that Baruuk Prime Access and then delay Deviri. That's what we're dealing with right now. Delayed actual updates, expedited macro transaction updates, and lazy Riven changes. Yeah, I probably sound surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm just annoyed because they keep doing this. My opinion is when a new Prime weapon comes out, they should make it where it has the base dispo of the weapon. So, for example, there wouldn't be a Phantasma Prime situation where it's like, the Phantasma Prime is worse than Phantasma Normal because of Rivens. When the Phantasma Prime comes out, it should have the same Riven dispo as the Phantasma Normal. If the Phantasma Prime is so overwhelmingly powerful that the Rivens need to be nerfed, it will have to prove itself that it needs a different dispo. Because this weapon is not wildly different from the Phantasma Normal. And it's going to be the same situation with other things too. Like, for example, like let's say the Stradivar Prime. I don't remember what the Stradivar Normal stats are like, but I doubt that they're so overwhelmingly different. Okay, so like a couple stats here and there. Do they need to be so overwhelmingly different that it actually changes everything? I don't think so. The magazine is very different here, but it's just one example, the first one I saw. I feel like their system is flawed and actually anti-fun and might actually make them less money than if you had hyped up Rivens, because the Rivens are not hyped at all right now at launch DE. It just seems super stupid. You're neglecting this aspect of your game that you've been neglecting for years. And yeah, I'm just getting annoyed by it. So either way, I'll see you guys tomorrow for that long stream. I appreciate the support. And yeah, enjoy those terrible Baruuk weapons. I sure won't be farming those. I'll just probably farm the frame. All right, take it easy. Peace.